quarter to 7, 6:45 a.m. So I thought I would today go and check out Sanctuary Cove. Sanctuary Cove was built in, I think, 1985-86, and it was built by a property developer called Mike Gore. Mike Gore's been dead for probably a good 20 to 25 years now, but he was a self-made millionaire, and I think he may have lost one or two fortunes in his time, but he developed Sanctuary Cove on pretty much what was a swamp or a wetland. Probably not a swamp, a wetland. Oh boy, that sun is glaring. Got an internal visor on the helmet, I've just popped it down. Boy. So anyway, it was completed, Sanctuary Cove. The official opening was, I think it was September, October. Anyway, it was late 1987. And Mike Gore, forever being the entrepreneur, brought out two of the biggest names in show business at the time to perform at the official opening. So he hired a private jet and flew out Frank Sinatra and Whitney Houston, and they called it the ultimate event, and it was held at Sanctuary Cove, and they constructed temporary grandstands and a stage. I can't remember how many people had seated, but it was several thousand or more, and tickets were like through the roof in cost. But anyway, he sold it out, and Frank Sinatra, I think they flew him into Brisbane, which is about 1 hour's drive north from here. Chartered a helicopter to fly him from Brisbane to Sanctuary Cove, put him up at the Hyatt Regency Hotel, which was brand new at Sanctuary Cove, did his performance, flew him back up to Brisbane, back on a plane and back to the States. He was probably lucky if he was in Australia 24 hours. I'm not sure about Whitney Houston, I'm not sure if they did the same for her. But yeah, Sanctuary Cove. And what it is it's a residential complex with security, 24/7 security, gated complex, only available to residents for entry. It has a small shopping complex. So this is Sanctuary Cove, golf course on either side. Another story is this road we're riding in on is all tiles. Apparently the fellow that got the contract to lay these was only a young bloke, about 25 or 30. This is back in 1986-87. He made enough money on laying this road, because it goes in for, I don't know, a good kilometre I suppose, maybe a bit less. But he made enough money that he could pay his mortgage on his house outright and buy a new car. There you go. Now that building on the right, that grey white building over there on the right, that used to be the brewery, Jabiru House now it's called, but it used to be the brewery. I have no idea what Jabiru House is. Because it's early in the morning, these shops aren't open. But you come out here normally in the business hours, especially when there's no coronavirus. They're all open. All the residents here, part of the deal, if you buy property here, you get a golf buggy, and I think you get your first year's membership of the golf course thrown in, which is not bad, because I think it's something like, not sure, but I think it's something like $7,000 a year, or maybe more. just for membership, and that's thrown in if you buy property. And normally in tourist season this would be full of people like me, Sticky Beacon at the Rich and Famous where they live, this small shopping centre. Looks like they removed all the boats. Usually that is chock-a-block full of boats. Yeah. Yeah, they've moved a lot of those boats over to this marina here. Each one of those boats would be worth a couple of million, some of the big ones. Morning. Morning. Yeah, a lot of small eateries, restaurants and high-end shops. I mean, none of the locals buy here. Well, unless you're a Sanctuary Cove local. Let's go over to the left here and have a look at the marina and see if we can see some of the villa houses. So they've dug these canals and all the sand is where we're standing now. Security. Sanctuary Cove security. It's a shame that I couldn't go for a bit more of a walk. But behind those villas, the waterfront villas, are the large houses on very large blocks and multi-million-dollar homes. I guess even these villas are going to have to go for $1 million or more. Really don't know. And every year they have the Sanctuary Cove boat show. It got so big, I've been doing it for years, it got so big that they used to have to control access out the Sanctuary Cove, and all the locals, the residents here, got sick of it because they couldn't get in and out. So they moved it. They still called it the Sanctuary Cove Boat Show, but they changed the location, took it away from Sanctuary Cove. Yeah, they tried a lot of different things. They actually bussed people in. You used to be able to drive in and park. They did that for a few years, didn't work. It was just so busy. Couldn't get in, couldn't get out. So then they said, well, you can park your car and we'll bus you in. They tried that, and then they didn't go with that, and then they relocated it. Alright. Well, that's the hotel up there. Arnie's Cafe and Bar. Palms Golf Course. Used to be called Sanctuary Cove Golf Course. Intercontinental Sanctuary Cove. Yeah, changed the name again. Yeah, 4-star I think. I don't think it's 5-star. But it is very impressive. Beautiful. Yeah, so all of this tiling here was all done by that young fellow. Well, young fellow 30 years ago. those units fronting the golf course, they're like I guess stage 2 or maybe stage 3 addition. They weren't there when Sanctuary Cove was originally opened. They were built some years later. I guess they're the cheaper end accommodation. You still say I live at Sanctuary Cove, but you're not on the waterfront. But you're on the golf course. That's not a bad alternative. So this is the golf club up here, Sanctuary Cove Golf Club. Again, this will take you to a security gate. This security gate up here is the main office for the security staff. They've got all their CCTV cameras. Morning. Sanctuary Cove Country Club. Oh, I guess it'd have to be a country club, couldn't be a golf course. Yes, I think the houses on the left, they've only been built probably the last 10 years, maybe 15 years. Large. Triple garage, some of them. Yeah, I guess the body corporate fees out here wouldn't be cheap, especially when you've got to pay full-time wages for security staff, gardeners. I mean, just the landscape gardening here to keep it up, keep it in shape, require a lot of staff. Yeah, it's all relative, I suppose. If you're rich enough to afford to live out here, you can afford to pay the body corporate. Oops, can't get through. Well, I'm probably being picked up on CCTV, no doubt. And they're probably thinking of, I wonder what this guy's doing. And they'll probably get one of their little security vehicles. That's unless I head off, which is I'm going to do. And yes, but if I hang around too much longer, I'm sure I'll be pulled over and asked what I'm doing. These units on that little lagoon there, they were built about 10 years ago. Stop up here and go a little bit further. Well, I'll have to stop and change the battery from my adventure camera because I've probably been filming. It'll go for a fair while yet. Well, that's Sanctuary Cove.